Hey everybody, this is Deb with Truthification Chronicles, and I wanted to do a little update on the Nancy Pelosi video because I've had several people make comments, and I want to first of all apologize because sometimes I tend to forget that not everybody who's watching my videos knows much about Q and the Q movement and what Q has said in the past, and I made a mistake of assuming too much. So let me take you through this. I'll show you the bigger clip and I'll show you why I was saying what I did on the other video. Okay, here we go.
Yeah. Any other? Yes, ma'am?
Back to 2018, do you have any plans to, when the ads come out saying don't vote for the Democrat because Pelosi will become Speaker of the House, do you have any strategies for how you're going to approach that?
Let me just say this. They've spent over $100 million demonizing me over in the 2010 elections and all the rest. I believe one of the reasons they did it is because I'm an effective leader. I passed the Affordable Care Act. We passed Dodd-Frank, all the things that big money was unhappy about, whatever the role of government is in protecting the consumer, protecting their good health. Having said that, at the same time, the Speaker was a candidate for Vice President of the United States, Speaker Ryan, where hundreds of millions of dollars were spent to promote the ticket of Romney-Ryan. So he's got hundreds of millions spent on his side. I have 100 million or so spent against me, and his numbers are no better than mine. The difference is we don't engage in the politics of personal destruction. The fact is that if we just talk about the issues, for example, I think it would be interesting to people in these districts to know that the Speaker wants to take away the guarantee of Medicare. So I think talking about issues is where we should be. What is the difference in one person being Speaker than another? But I don't think that any party should allow the opposite party to choose their leaders. And I think the analysis is showing that these districts were very hard districts to win, and they were not resolved because of any attack on me. Think of what they did in the last week. He was going great, also, in the last week. And I leave this for our chairman to present to you, but they had an ad that had Steve Scalise coming in a gurney and saying that the Democrats were responsible for that. I mean, that is so beneath the dignity of the debate in our country. And yet, they had President Obama reading from his book, quoting someone from an earlier time, talking about the black community, and they put that forth as shall we say, a suppressor of the vote in the black community. I don't think they succeeded with it, but they were willing to go to that racist, and I'll call it racist, place. So, we Democrats, we have to have the strength of our economic argument, and that's really our power. And to make sure people know, as Martin Luther King said, what legislation means in your life. But I think whoever the leader is going to be their target if the leader is effective. And that's what I said about Tip O'Neill and this or that. And in Georgia, look what they did in Georgia to some of the candidates there. I mean, really, hopefully we'll go down a different path as the public is more aware of it. But the public is very smart. Elections have results. We respect that. But then we get ready for the next fight because nothing less is at stake than the fact that 1 in 5 children in America lives in poverty. And that's okay with them. That God's creation, whether it's our children, whether it's clean air, clean water, the planet, whether it's Medicare as a guarantee for our seniors, whether it's job creation for the middle class with good paying checks and reducing the cost to people of their livelihood by affordable health care, paid leave, child care, things like that. There's a difference between the two parties. That's where we should take the debate. They don't want to go there. They'd rather go to San Francisco in a cable car. And by the way, just in case that wasn't enough, go to New York with 2 hipsters. I didn't see the ad, but they told me they have 2 hipsters at the end, making it look like Ossoff was, I don't know, a hipster. I don't know how that plays, but it apparently wasn't. It was considered a negative ad. So.
Oh, sorry. Is it worth it to try and, I guess, like, rehab your image in some of these Republican districts, or to sort of present what you've done, or are you guys more focused on just the
What people say to me all the time, you raise more money than anybody. Maybe not the Obamas and the Clintons, but I've not run for president. Why don't you spend some of your money on yourself? Go out there and say what you did, this, and this. But, it's just not, maybe I should, but the fact is, what I want to do is have these members present themselves. Because basically, at the end of the day, that's what people are interested in, their representative and what their representative is going to do for their district. The Republicans are afraid of that contrast in a race because they're going to go there to be involved in trickle-down economics, shutting down hospitals and the rest of it. So they don't want them to see that contrast, so they focus on something else. And it's a diversionary tactic. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic, and it's self-evident. But I think I'm worth the trouble, very frankly. I love the fray. I'm not disrespectful of people's views. I respect any positive things that people want to say, or even negative, as long as it's constructive. But when it's blatantly self-serving and beyond the normal competition that the press so enjoys focusing on, instead of, wouldn't it be better if all the press were focusing on the Senate heartless, mean-spirited bill that hurt seniors and veterans, working families in our country, terrible damage to our children. So I hope that all the people are concerned about our children, concerned about them in terms of these health care bills. But it is an interesting time. It is an opportunity. It's what campaigns are about. I serve at the pleasure of my caucus. My caucus is overwhelmingly supportive of me, and this is not, the time. At the end of a 2-year time, we'll see what happens then, and every year it is a time. Many times I had not really wanted to run again when they called upon me to do so. This time I did. The election of Donald Trump. That this takes the knowledge and experience that I have, says she, immodestly, to make this fight and to unify our members around the facts, the law, progress for the American people, urgency, responsibility, opportunity. I love it. Thank you.
Okay, now that we've seen the full clip, let me tell you what was going on. She was saying how the Republicans demonized her, and then she turned around and she demonized them by saying how heartless they were with this health care bill coming in and everything. See, she was doing what she was accusing the Republicans of doing. And anybody who has been watching the campaigns knows that this is how the Democrats do. They accuse the Republicans of doing exactly what the Democrats are doing. The Democrats do this. This is part of their plan. This is part of their playbook. It's based on Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. That's their foundational rule book. And this type of thing where you accuse others of doing the very same thing that you yourself are doing is called psychological projection. It's a theory in psychology in which the human ego defends itself against unconscious impulses or qualities, both positive and negative, by denying their existence in themselves while attributing them to others. For example, a person who is habitually rude may constantly accuse other people of being rude. It incorporates blame shifting. This is what they do. This is what they did. Plus, she also talks about how the media is involved. And when we're talking media, it's not the Republicans that have the media in their pocket. It's the Democrats. From the DNC emails that came out in WikiLeaks, we have this list of media personalities who conspired with the DNC during the 2016 election cycle. There's a whole list of them, and I'm not going to show them all at this point. Q did list them, but there's about 100 on this list. As you can see, all different kinds. HuffPo, CNN has a big bunch of them. MSNBC has a bunch. Politico, The Hill, Vox, WAPO, NPR, New York Times. I mean, there's just all different ones. CBS, Bloomberg, BuzzFeed, ABC, AP. It's from all the different media, the mainstream media right here. This is it. And they all, every one of these is mentioned in some email in the WikiLeaks DNC emails. This particular graphic I made to go along with this post of Q's. It's kind of long, but let me try to blow it up for you, and we'll go through. Like I said, I just want to make sure that if you don't know much about Q, that you see what I'm talking about, because Q talks about it too, this psychological projection. What I just read you, that you accuse other people of doing exactly what you're guilty of doing. Define conspiracy. A secret plan by a group to do something unlawful or harmful. A conspiracy to destroy the government. The action of plotting or conspiring. They were cleared of conspiracy to pervert the course of justice. Fake news. Fake news collaborating and pushing knowingly false information. Fake news knowingly false narrative pushes. These are examples of it. POTUS colluded with Russia to win the 2016 presidential election. They knew it was false. They went ahead and they published it anyway. Why? Because of what Nancy Pelosi was saying. This is how the Democrats work. This is how the wrap-up smear works. They start out making lies. They created the idea of this Russian collusion, that Trump colluded with Russia. Then they leaked it to the press. What does the press do? The press then prints it as if it were true, and then the Democrats point to it and say, look, it's in the press. It's got to be true. They're printing it. So see, it's circular. And this is how they did with the FISA warrant. The FISA warrant on Carter Page, which is going to come out soon, and I hope it's this week because I was wrong with my timing on that. But by the way, on that, remember, Q does not give timing, so if there's a timing mistake, if I said it was supposed to happen one day, that's me. I made that mistake because I am so eager to see these people behind bars. I really want to see it happen. I think most of the Anons want to see it happen. But Q has a different reason for the timing. I don't know what the reason is, but he's done pretty well so far, so I'm just going to trust the plan. That he knows what he's doing because he knows the full plan and I don't. It'll happen when it happens, but it's got to be soon, and it's going to be before midterms. We're going to see something big. The whole Russia collusion thing was knowingly false, but yet the fake news published it anyway. This is more of their fake news. POTUS is puppet to Putin. No, he's not. POTUS to irreparably harm relationships with our allies. No, he's not. He's stopping some of them that have pretended to be allies, and yet they betrayed our country. They conspired with people to try to take down our president. That's not going to happen anymore under his watch. And so if it ticks off a few people, they deserve to be ticked off because they have no business meddling in our elections and trying to take down our president. That's an act of war in my book. So no, he's not going to allow that. POTUS will collapse U.S. economy. Well, look what's happened. They said he was going to collapse the economy. Has that happened? Oh no, I don't know about you, but my savings has gone up and my paycheck has gone up. So yes, that's false because it's totally the opposite of what reality is. He did not collapse it. He made it much better. 4.2 GDP? Wow. I mean, that's excellent. POTUS will collapse stock market. No, again, the stock market has gone up. This is what they fed the people. This is what the mainstream media has been saying. Because this is the tactic. The Democrats demonize Trump by saying all these things. Then the mainstream media puts it out there as if it's true, and it's not. But then the Democrats come back and say, see, it's in the press, so it must be true. And this is how it works. They're helping each other. Remember the list? There's over 100 on there who have helped out the DNC. And we know that for sure because it comes from the Democrats' own emails that were released to WikiLeaks. They outed themselves. They were the ones to point fingers at these media personalities and say they conspired with us to try to stop Trump, and then once he won, they conspired to take him down. And that's been their task ever since he was elected. POTUS will cause war with North Korea. We know that hasn't happened. POTUS will cause war with Iran. That's not going to happen either, okay? POTUS will destroy the world. This is what they were saying. I mean, if you remember, this is what they were saying constantly. And then the mainstream media was saying the same thing. So the Democrats were saying it, then the media picked up on it, and they were helping each other to try to destroy Trump. On and on, knowingly false. Remember, this is how they envisioned this. You start out saying something false about your opponent, and you demonize them with it, and then the press picks it up and they say it, and then you point to the press and say, see, the press is saying it, so it must be true. This is how they work. And so this particular thing, on and on, knowingly false. I'm sorry, this is probably not extremely clear on your screen, so if it looks a little blurry, that's just because I'm using this graphic and I have it blown up, so it's probably not as clear as it could be, especially if you're on a high-def screen, so sorry about that. Fear and scare push. That's what they're trying to do. They try to scare people into thinking certain ways. They would rather see North Korea peace negotiations fail, war, than see POTUS resolve. Scandalous media bias, conspiracy, collaboration. What are they hiding? Fake news media is not free and independent. Fake news media is the propaganda arm of the Democratic Party. Think WikiLeaks' list of journalists who colluded with HRC, Hillary Clinton, and the DNC, 2016 presidential election, and that's this whole list over here that I have. All that those 100 people, the WikiLeaks list. They want you divided by race, divided by religion, divided by culture, divided by class, divided by political affiliation. Divided, you are weak. Together, you are strong. And this is a main theme that Q's saying. So even if you don't believe in Q, we have to stay united as Republicans. As conservatives, we have to stay united. So please don't let the Q thing throw you off. Just because we believe in Q and you don't, it's okay if you don't, but please remember, we are all fighting for the same cause. We're fighting to get our country back from the deep state, and we're going to have to stay together to do it. It's going to take all of us, a united front, to be able to accomplish that. Together you are strong. You, the people, have the power. This movement challenges their forced narrative. This movement challenges people to not simply trust what is being reported. Research for yourself. Think for yourself. Trust yourself. This movement is not about one person or a group of people. We the people. You are witnessing a full panic attack by the fake news, media, and covert alternative media affiliates, foreign governments. They cannot contain or defeat what they do not understand. Is any of this normal? Think sealed indictments count. Remember, there's over 55,000 now, by the way. Think resignations of CEOs. Think resignations of senators. Think resignations of Congress. Think termination of senior FBI. Think termination of senior DOJ. Watergate times 1,000. Attacks will only intensify. Logical thinking. Ask yourself a simple question. Why? Q. So what he was saying is, these people right here, we know are guilty of conspiring with the DNC. So that means, let me pull it back here, if all these people are guilty of conspiring with them, then when it comes down and we find out that the Democrats were conspiring to take down our president, these people are going to be implicated too. When the arrests start, when the sealed indictments start being unsealed, you're going to see some media personalities. I assume all 100 of these will be implicated. I don't know when that's going to be. I don't know if they will take them all at once or if they will take them little by little. I was kind of hoping they'd round them all up at once. But again, that's my wishful thinking. That's not what Q has said. Q has not indicated how they're going to do that, and he's not indicated the timing. All we know is that he said just today, he said this week is going to be a boom week. What that means, I don't know, but I think we're going to see some big fireworks. I know that Rod Rosenstein's supposed to go in to meet with the Republican congressman. That's going to be huge. Jim Jordan, I think, was talking about that on Fox News. Kavanaugh has been sworn in, so he technically is in. Trump has signed the paper. He's good to go. He is a Supreme Court justice right now. Yay. The Democrats are not going to leave it alone. Already on Twitter, I've seen a lot of liberals who are posting things about harassing and attacking some Republicans. So be very careful if you happen to live in a mainly liberal area. I don't know what it's going to be like. So just be cautious where you're going. If you see something, say something, okay? Keep that in mind, because these people are not past it. They will do false flags. A false flag, if you're not aware, is a real event. People get hurt. Sometimes people get killed at false flags. The only thing is, it's not an organic event. It is an event that the deep state has planned, and they have planned it for their own agenda. So when you hear the term false flag, some people I know think, oh, well, you're saying it didn't happen. No, it happened. It definitely happened. People die in false flags. It's just that the reason behind it is not what we're being told in the media, because all those media people are conspiring with the DNC to push their narrative and not the reality. They don't care about reality. They care about getting their agenda through. And that's what's most important to them. So it doesn't matter if they make things up as long as they end up with their goal. Remember, the Democrats work by the process of the end justifies the means, so it doesn't matter how they get there as long as they reach their goal. And you saw what they did with Kavanaugh. It didn't matter how they got him out, they just wanted him out. That's what we're facing. And I hope you understand now that when I put it up, I made the assumption that you understood about psychological projection and that you understood that these media personalities were complicit with the DNC. And I apologize again for making that assumption, because I know a lot of people weren't aware of that. But if you've read the WikiLeaks, you saw these people's names, and the Democrats themselves said that they were working with them. So we know for sure this list is accurate, according to the Democrats' own emails in the WikiLeaks dump. There you go. That's the whole thing. You got to see the whole clip of Nancy talking, and you got to see that she was blaming the Republicans, but it was really projection, because what she was doing was she was saying those evil Republicans, they are doing this to us. So she was demonizing the Republicans while she was accusing them of demonizing the Democrats. It was just like she was contradicting herself. What they're accusing the Republicans of are exactly the same things they themselves are guilty of. And that's exactly what psychological projection is. So that's what we're dealing with, and that's why I had the clip. I wanted to get it out. I wanted to get it out fast because people need to see it. What I've discovered is that the shorter clips are easier to share with your friends. The longer clips like this one, it's going to be a lot harder for your friends to sit through, unless they also understand what's going on and they have a vested interest. But I try to make the shorter clips and keep them short to catch their attention and to let them know things are going on and this was happening. Yes, that was from a conference back in 2017. It doesn't matter because the same tactics are being used. It's exactly the same tactic they used with Brett Kavanaugh. They created dirt. They paid off women to make these claims. And then when it comes out in the press, they say, see, the press is saying it, so it must be true. And that's their circular reasoning. This is what they did with the FISA warrant. This is exactly what they have been doing. She was telling you what the Democrats do, even though she thought she was telling you what the Republicans do, because they genuinely cannot imagine a political organization that doesn't do these things, because this is how their political organization works. They think everybody does things exactly the way they do. And that's the long version. I appreciate your views. I appreciate your comments. I've learned a lot from many of you, so keep the comments coming. By the way, if you put in a URL, please give a little bit of information about what the URL is. I'm starting to get a lot of comments, and it's hard for me to go through and look at every single URL. So if you don't say what it is, then all it is just some website or YouTube video or something, it's probably going to get deleted. And please don't just call people names. Okay, I really am not thrilled with that. And there are some words I'm not going to pass through. So if you can clean up your language a little, it's not so bad on most of my videos, but boy, that Watch the Water one, whoo, some of the people on there get a little out of bounds a lot. And for those who have seen the Watch the Water video, I've got to tell you, when I put it together in June, I don't know if those are connected. I still don't know if they're connected. I just know that Q said watch the water. And then suddenly there's this weird video of POTUS taking his water bottle off the table and Pence doing the exact same thing right after POTUS did. And then a day later, Netanyahu comes out with this water thing for the Iranians. So I really don't know that there's any connection whatsoever. I don't know any of this situation. All I know is what you see in that video. And I have no idea why it went viral like it did. I'm grateful that it did, but I can't explain it. I really don't know any more about that video. I tossed it up because I thought somebody surely in the comments will have some ideas as to why they did that. So I don't know. If you go see that one, your opinion is every bit as good as anybody else's. I have no clue. I just put them up there because I thought they were very odd and they both had to do with water. So that's all I have for you now. Thanks for stopping by. See you later.